Hey guys, Footy Focus Podcast, episode 12. So we got a bit of a round 10 and round 11 review and round 12 preview. And
Uh, yeah, hey everyone. So we're halfway through, I think, the footy frenzy. I think there's a game at the moment, Geelong and
thanks.
Gil. Yeah, but we might touch on our games because we're doing two games, reviews of two games each, and then we might preview our next game a little bit at the end,
Yeah.
and we'll do some of those hot topics. like I think there's a couple on suspensions, tribunal news, and yeah, so a couple of those things. But yeah, maybe you can start with Port and Dogs, which seemed like a while ago.
Yeah, seven days ago now. So yeah, Port beat the Dogs 55-42. So Dogs kind of dominated the first quarter. So won six of the first seven clearances, up 13 and inside 50s, but they're only up 3 points. Been accurate, and Port, I guess, made the most of their opportunities. And then when it came to that third quarter, Port kicked all four goals to probably win the game in that quarter there. Yeah, contested mark is probably the story of the night. It was 18-1 at three-quarter time, and obviously Charlie Dixon was the main culprit there. Five contested marks and a few with, I guess, two or three players hanging off him. And thought Keith competed well, but yeah, Dixon was just too strong. And intercept marks too. I think 36 marks between the back six. So it's a pretty strong defense when you have that going on.
Is that when the third man comes in and takes it, or are your key defenders sort of out marking their forward?
Yeah, I mean it's a bit of a tough one because Dogs don't have the strongest forward line. It was the last game before Norton came back in over the weekend, but
Yeah.
I think Brett Montgomery is the backline coach. He's really encouraging the players to fly for their marks. So it's not necessarily the third man up. It's just backing yourself in, I guess.
hmm And Trent McKenzie was back, was he?
Yeah, so he came back in for Leanit, who actually who came back in over the weekend. But yeah,
Yeah, because McKenzie's playing that third tall, really, isn't
yeah, you never would have guessed it early days when he was the super bird and yeah, just kicking goals from outside 50. But yeah, he's reinvented himself.
he? Okay. And Butters continues his dominant. So purple patch, would you say? Or has he been? Is that unfair? Has he been? Oh,
I think he had a quiet game against the Saints, but apart from that, like he was our best in the loss against the Lions, and I think he's probably top three in the BNF, which is pretty great result for a second year player. Although he was best on ground all night, especially in that third quarter
yeah.
as well.
He's very good with the handball. Yeah, and he's nippy.
Yeah, you can see why Robbie Gray I think takes credit for recruiting him, and similar kind of traits. For the Dogs, I thought Liver was really good all night. 20 contested possessions, and Mitch Wallace, he's as a pressure forward, he's kind of turned his whole career around. 3 goal assists and five tackles inside forward 50.
Yeah, I think he's their leading goal kicker this year, which is yeah, good effort. I don't know what to make of the Dogs. I mean, when they're good is very good, but when they lose, they sort of very uncompetitive and um
Yeah,
yeah, sort of Bonds hasn't been the same and their
yeah,
forward line pretty dysfunctional.
yeah. I think Bruce. I think they expected a lot more from him, and I mean Norton back's a big thing, but I think they're still missing that second key, and they probably need a bit more pace through the midfield. Maybe JJ Johannesson put him in the midfield for some spurts as well.
Yeah, and Josh Shaki hasn't developed, so
No.
I think he hasn't got much time left. If he doesn't do anything, maybe next year he might be not on a list, which is pretty disappointing for like a number two draft.
Yeah, exactly. We'll
Yeah.
move on to the Roos and the Cats last Thursday, was it?
I think it was a Wednesday, but
Wednesday.
yeah. So yeah, going in, I didn't have that much optimism. I thought even though Geelong were coming off a short break and from Perth, they're always going to be competitive and they bat deep, and it showed. So the scoreboard sort of almost flattered us a little bit. It was 90-57, but they doubled the amount of scoring shots. I guess that's scoreline, yeah, so it's doubled it. Yeah. Uh, so Yeah, and they did this without their superstars having a big game. So Joel Selwood, Dangerfield, they didn't have big games at all. Danger played forward. I think he went into the center once, like in after we kicked a couple of goals in a row, and then he got the clearance and they kicked a goal from that. Yeah, it's much the same old from North Melbourne. When we win, we look okay. Like we look pretty good against the Crows and the Giants in those two wins. But when we lose, it's very uninspiring, and you can see that with the injury list we have, the depth isn't there yet. Yes, poor skill errors, and yeah, just the same senior players making the same errors. And these are experienced guys as well. So I think a couple of them are contracted.
Yeah.
But yeah, Brady Rawlings has a pretty big job to do the next 2 or 3 years.
Well, he takes credit, but he was, I guess, the architect behind the Eagles list who made a grand final and won a grand final. So he's definitely got a big job. And some of your whipping boys, Atley and Pittard, how did they go?
Yeah, on that point about the West Coast, Brady took over that list, and then they didn't have a lot of high picks, but he was able to sort of trade picks and maybe a couple of players and do a deal with Gold Coast where they netted like 5 second rounders for like a first rounder. So, and I think he did that last trade period where he did that deal with Melbourne. So I hope he does something similar to that again this year and manages to replenish the list that way. I'd like to see that, even if we potentially do trade one of our first rounders and load up in the second draft, then we might find a Tim Ryan or Oscar Allen like that. So I know everyone's obsessed with first rounders and we'd like to have a lot. But we might talk about this a bit later, maybe another episode. But even if we do, have 4 second rounders might be a good thing. Your second point was about the whipping boys. I don't know if I'll bother answering that. What was your second point?
Some of the whipping boys, Atley and Pittard.
Yeah, I mean, Atley just average. Doesn't reach his potential, and I don't really want to see him play much more footy for us. Pittard, I like Pittard. Like, I think he's good is very good. He's bad is very bad. And he's in the leadership group, so I think I'd be happy to keep him on for a couple more years. But play him in defense. A couple of positives. Yeah. So I think you texted me during the week. Hosey showed something. So he kicked 2 goals. It was his debut. They were from frees. But I'd like to see a bit more of him. Will Walker played his first game after like 2 years of injury, and I thought started off slow, but he got better as the game went on. So I think he's definitely one that we should develop and put time into. And and Simpkin was again pretty good. I think he was after a slow start again. I think he lifted and he was sure it's mature.
Do you think he should be fast tracked maybe into the captaincy next year? Is he in the leadership group at the moment?
What, are you kicking Zeeble out? What are you trying to say? But I think you have a point. Yeah, I think Jack's coming to the end, so I think it would be the right time to hand it over to a younger player, and I think Simpkin would be leading that pack of young leaders. I think Trent Dumont's sort of looked as a leader as well, but I think Simpkin can continue his form. I think he'd be a worthy captain, future captain for the club.
Do you want captain under 18 for South Australia? Maybe.
Who was in that team? I can't remember. But he's in the leadership group, so potentially. Someone who shouldn't be captain is probably Aaron Hall. Couple of negatives. Like, he sort of butchers the ball a bit, and I think he's just not the type of guy that I'd want to have in the team when we're trying to rebuild. So we'll talk a bit about him later, but he was a bit of a negative that game. Couldn't back up his good performance the week prior. Brown got injured early, so his average year continues. And I think Grant Myers was really good for Geelong. These small forwards tend to get a hold of our defenders. And Kyron Hayden didn't play, so he's been doing a pretty good job on like the bets and the like, and he wasn't there. So yeah, we need a better small defender. Also, Fogarty and Zach Guthrie were also pretty good for the Cats. So yeah, so the Cats will go deep into finals probably. Yeah, so we'll see how they go tonight. But yeah, don't be surprised if they make a grand final. We'll move on to your game against Tigers. So yeah, this was talked up as being one of the games of the year. Did it live up to that hype?
Yeah, so it was the best game I've watched all year. I'm just reading a note. Um,
Yeah, because I mentioned you haven't watched much games, but you've watched a lot of Port games and they've been good games. So
best Port game I've watched. It's very cool actually. Yeah, the first half was pretty elite. Being on Fox Footy, they have that pressure gauge of both teams. They were both 200 plus for a lot of that first half. Although Sam Powell-Pepper was probably the leader of that. He's quietly having a pretty good year as that pressure small forward. Obviously, Port held the Tigers scoreless in that last term, so plus 33 touches, plus 20 contested, and plus 19 inside 50s.
So is that Sam Powell-Pepper you were talking
yes.
about? That pressure? Now, he's been really good, hasn't he? I think he'd be top 5.
Yeah, you just notice it like in that game. Notice him a lot more because he was the one laying a lot of those tackles. Had 10, I think, against the Bulldogs the week before. So, he's just bull.
Yeah, so Sam was in the same draft as Sam Petrevsky-Seton.
Yeah,
they have similar names and they went in the same draft. And Petrevsky-Seton went at number 5, I think, and Powell-Pepper was much later, like
18. I think it was.
I always like sort of compare them how they're going. So at the moment, I'll be taking the Port Adelaide Sam Powell-Pepper, but yeah, shows you high picks aren't always get match winners.
Thought, Tigers, they obviously led twice. So they were down 26 points in the first term and 21 in the third, and they fought back both times to take the lead. But it was a pretty, a statement win by Port and probably the best win we've had as a club this season anyway.
Yeah, so, I thought it was like there's more of a steely resolve in the team, like more determination and more belief. Like for previous power teams, like you'd win one and then drop one you should have won. But I think whatever it is, I think this team, much more, determined.
So obviously, a long way to go in the season, but couldn't argue with the start. And you would have taken 9-2 at the start of the year. So Ollie Wines thought was best on ground, probably his best game for a couple of years since all the injuries and the controversies and losing the captaincy. 28, 10 clearances, 12 tackles and a goal. So back to
the goal was from a stoppage, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was pretty poor marking by Pickett, I think it was, that had him manned up. But it was a pretty soft goal. But he was best on, I guess, the whole 4 quarters.
Good goal. How was Dixon? Was he imposing? Because with their defense, sort of with Bolter as their main guy, I suppose.
Yeah, it's an interesting one because he played on Bolter the whole night. It's a bit interesting to see what they do, the Tigers, because obviously Grimes is their best backman, but they don't want to hide him against a monster like Dixon. So interesting to see what they do in finals. But Dixon, imposing all night, but missed 3 easy set shots. Can't afford this in the finals, what I've said. So could cost us a final if he does that.
Right. And did you see Ladham's goal? I thought that was a pretty classy goal, and he's been really good. Yeah,
the first goal of the game, and obviously we played 2 ruckmen for the first time. And Ladham's really fulfilled his role. He had a holding the ball, tackle. He took, I think, 4 contested marks and 2 goals. So I think you guys were chasing him last year, weren't you?
Yeah, I read reports we were into him, so you can see why. He's got a lot of promise.
Yeah, I don't think we can play. It's a pretty interesting question going forward. I don't think we can play both ruck in the finals. And Todd Marshall's obviously to return. We left out Westhoff, so I think a few clubs are circling Scotty Lysett. I heard from Triple M. So
you don't want Laddins, not Lysett, but it's a good problem to have. How about did he do a job on Dusty?
No one tagged Dusty.
Head to head.
Yeah, it was probably Wines at the stoppages, and I mean going forward it was Jonas, but yeah, Martin was pretty good in the first half, but yeah, didn't touch it like the rest of the Tigers in that last term. But yeah, he's always dangerous.
Right. And yeah, I saw the coaches' votes again. I think both got changed, and Butters he was in there as well. So
Yeah,
I think both he's third. I think he's coming third. So, Neil's way out in front. I think Neil be hard to catch him.
yeah, I think you're right.
Strikers second. And, yeah, Boak's third. So you never know with Brownlow. Like you can only get 3 votes, so Boak might be a Brownlow champ. And I think I'd love to see Boak in the round.
Yeah, Robbie Gray's best game of the year too, 20 plus and 3 goals. For the Tigers, Shea Bolton, he was their best player. Only touched it 16 times, which is a bit surprised with. But yeah, every time he touched it, he took a guy on, drew a man in.
Yeah. He's very good. He sidesteps and he evades play as well. And he's he should be the All Australian squad. I think he's been maybe leading their best preparers.
Yeah, and maybe a child. He had a controversial week, but yeah, he probably cemented his place. 2 goals and in the third quarter. And he's really athletic, third tall option with Lynch and Rewalt. I still think the Tigers are the team to beat. They're missing Cochin, Prestia, Edwards, Hooley, and Asprey. So that's 5 of their best 22. So they've got the best game plan in the comp. And I'll still back them in for the flag. What do you think?
Yeah, I think they're definitely in the mix. I don't know if they're the team to beat. I think at the moment, probably West Coast, if you ask me. I think not playing in Melbourne might disadvantage them. I don't know if they're the best travelling team. If Collingwood are up and going, I'd have more faith in Collingwood. Sort of line through them because of the injuries. But yeah, I think Brisbane, I think they might have matured after their finals last year, and you guys and West Coast, might be the other 3 teams.
Yeah, you're right. If the grand final was the MCG, you'd probably say Richmond, wouldn't you?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So you want to talk about you probably don't want to talk about the North's performance versus the Demons.
Might move on to the hot topics. It was pretty poor. It was Sunday night at Adelaide Oval, which we still haven't won there, so that's a negative. But Reece Shaw described it as unacceptable, and we'll certainly find out about a few players. So I think that's a good thing he said that, because I think it's good to have a good, strong stance. So I think I hope he drops some players. We only made 3 changes from a game against Geelong and that 4-day turnaround, so I thought that was a bit disappointing. I would have liked to see a few more, maybe 5 or 6 changes. So we've got a 6-day or 7-day break or 6-day break, so hopefully he can drop some players. I mean, we had a lot of injuries, so he might not have. So the skills were the thing that really stood out. That was really bad. I think it was one of the most all-skill displays I've seen in a while. Like the game against Richmond was bad, but it wasn't this bad. This was just be running in and just kick it off the side of your boot sort of thing. So still no obvious game plan. I don't know why. Like we tend to just go along the boundary and just bomb it in and go for a contest. It's not sustainable. And it worked a couple of times because Larky was able to grab him, but I don't like it. So there's less of that handball going on. But
Do you reckon Reece Shaw needs? Do you guys have a head assistant coach, like a senior?
So no, because I think Darren Crocker's moved out of that role, and we had a couple of other. I think Jade Rawlings might be an assistant, and we had our forward and backline coaches. I think Whitecroft and Jared Rivers or someone. They
got let go.
They got stood down or something. So we are lacking a bit there. But what do you think? It would be a good idea to have like a senior assistant.
Well, I mean, he's obviously only 20 games into a coaching career. Like I think Woosh is probably available at the end of the year. I'm not sure if there's any other candidates, but maybe Paul Roos if you could coax him out of retirement. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to get Paul Roos. Sure work with Sydney. I don't know, but I think it's. I think the line coach is not having them there. You can sort of that might have a lot to do with it. But I'd give him another year. Like I don't want to like put have a go at Shaw. It's just his second year and reduced staff, COVID and everything. So I'd cut him some slack, especially because I have injuries as well. I'd like to see him make a few more changes. He's doing stuff like he had Goldie starting on the wing, Pittard forward, and Bonner defense. He's sort of moving the magnets around. It'll be good to get guys like Ahern, Murphy, and Posey to have a go because I need to see if these guys can play because they're all out of contract next year. And it's looking unlikely that they'll stay. So, yeah.
Do you think we're a bit similar to Port a couple of years ago?
Yeah, that's a good point. Like you guys topped up with those. We did a similar thing with Aaron Hall and Dom Tyson. So, yeah, when I look at it, you can sort of compare it. So it's very similar. And then you guys didn't work out, so then you went to the draft. So this feels like that year for us. So if we like acknowledge that it's a rebuild and just go into the draft with a good hand and pick up guys like Butters and 3 or 4 of those high-end picks, and then do it again next year like you guys did last year with Georgiades.
Yeah.
What else did you get? Like Bergman, all those guys.
Yeah,
and,
Williams.
That'll complement who we have with Luke Juniak, Larky Thomas. Like, we have a good core group there. So if we just double that in the next 2 years, then I think it looks positive. Might just have to trade in a couple of those experienced players as well, like you guys did, like maybe Trent McKenzie and Sutcliffe, those like mid 20s, 20 guys, like for nothing, like unless restricted free agents. Just because if you have two young team, then you're just going to get smashed.
You obviously got Simpkins, who's the most impressive of them. So you've got at least you got 3 or 4. Or if you add Dumont too, probably got 4 or 5 players that you can move forward with.
Yeah. So we're just missing a few players in that 2011, 2014 draft, like which we stuffed up. So we just need to fill them in. From the positives, last night, and I thought Davey Juniak was again really good. He's starting to build like he did a couple of weeks ago. Probably the best half of footy I've seen him play. So he was able to step through traffic and was composed when he had the ball. 16 touches to halftime, and then I think after that he was rested a little bit, but finished with 24 disposals and 15 hand passes.
Yeah, you just want him to get an uninterrupted run out because you can see someone like a Hunter Clark, he's probably only living up to it 3 or 4 years after he was drafted. Yeah,
and guys like Brayshaw or Chera, they're only starting to see it now. Only Stevenson really out of that top end prop in that year.
Played every game.
Yeah, but UD LDU's doing really well. And he had essentially had a year of injury, so 3rd game back, and he was almost the best player for us. Larky was also good, so he kicked 4 goals without Brown. And he's only played 23 games as well, so he's got a lot of injury. Yeah, the media will keep talking about trading Brown, so I don't know. I wouldn't like to trade him, but
Is Larky ready for that key number 1 spot? That probably gets part of that question.
Yeah, it's probably not ready. Like when he gets a good defender, like he's a good defender, like Harris, Andrews, and you might get towed up. So then you say, then the media will be like, "Oh, they shouldn't have got rid of Brown." And there's no guarantee that the pick we get for him will turn out anyway. So. But if we do lose him, maybe we can target someone like Golko San, like he's been on the outer there, and he's similar to sort of that range to the type like Brown, but he's obviously not a star, but it could be a good player as depth because we don't have much depth up Larky and Brown, to be honest. Got a couple of first, second year players, and Josh Walker's our sort of other forward. Yeah, might move on a little bit. Yeah, Bonner was also good, I might add. Before he got injured, I thought he was playing his best game for us.
He's another young player as well to move forward and build around.
Yeah, so we do have that core group. So, I think, I'd like to see us do something like what you guys did. Like, you guys were able to trade away your good players like Wingard, Polak, and get something for it. Or that
Yeah.
we don't have that. We don't have players of that value. Like who out of our list do you reckon has value?
Well, I'd say the obvious three are Brown, Goldstein, and Higgins. The young players, like I wouldn't trade a Taron Thomas like we did a Wingard or a Simpkin. Like I wouldn't do that.
No, but like those guys are too young. You're looking at like the mid-20s. Like, I think Higgins, Goldie, they're too old. We're not going to get much for them. So you're looking at 24, 25, 26. Even Brown's 27. So it'll be Brown and probably Polak will probably be the other one that has value.
Yeah. I wouldn't be getting rid of like a Taron Thomas or a Simpkin. Like they're the untouchables. Yeah.
Yeah. No. You keep the under 22s. Yeah. A couple of negatives. Yeah, like Hall, I said, he stuffed up a couple of plays moving forward. I think maybe it was a structural thing, but yeah, just doesn't use the ball well enough. And you'd think he's a good kick, but he's not really that accurate. Injuries again kept mounting up. So we might be missing Bonner, Walker, Anderson, Taron, Majak for our next game, which is really we're scraping the bottom of the barrel, literally. Like, maybe we might have to get McGuinness again, and he weighs like 70 kilos or something. Okay, and the Dees looked good as well. They pulled pretty bad, but the Dees when they were running, they were really good. Like Wiedemann, started to get a bit of the ball, and you can see his confidence is growing, and he just needs to kick a bit straighter because I think he could have kicked a bag, but he only kicked 2 goals.
Yeah,
and Brayshaw was good in the middle.
What about Jackson? Did Goldstein dominate like we predicted?
Goldstein, he was like sharing the ruck duties with Madge, so he was playing and he started on the wing, like he started the game on the wing. It's on like Johnson, Jones. But Jackson was good. He did some nice things. He seems like a good player. So same with Pickett and Rivers. They were seeing as well. Pickett did a couple of special things. Rivers took a good mark, and it looks like a player. So let's say draft class of last year. So they're doing good. What do you think of Melksham as captain? Is that unexpected?
Yeah, I thought it'd be Viney. Isn't Viney the vice captain?
He wasn't playing.
Oh, he wasn't playing. Okay, then it won't be Nathan Jones. Who else would it be? Brayshaw, mate? Oh, Brayshaw hasn't played enough, probably.
Yeah, who did have? Maybe Lever? Stephen May. I think Stephen May has captain leadership. But yes, Melksham, man, I think it was all right. He kicked the goal and kicked 2 goals. A couple of random captains like him and Jude.
Yeah.
All right, that's enough of that game. Do you want to move on to the hot topics? Do you want to talk a bit about Josh Daicos' goal?
Yeah. I've seen your answer, so you've answered it well. But do you think there's been a better clutch goal in the home and away than his goal against the Swans?
Like I would have thought. I can't remember the goals, but from North Melbourne Footy Club, Daniel Wells, Jackie Chan goal kick against Freo. That was again similar circumstances. It was just it was essentially the winner, just to put a bit of a gap between the other team. So ended up winning by 12 points, and there was like 2 minutes to go. So this was again, it was an amazing goal by Daicos. Yeah, he's like kept the ball in, picked it up, and then check side, kicked the check side. Yeah,
his last 5-ish minutes, even before that goal, he was probably best on in that last little period. So it wasn't just the goal as well.
Yeah, he's improved. He's been pretty good. The only thing he tends to maybe look for free kicks a little bit. Like sometimes I've seen him, he sort of looks for that high, so because he's a bit of a shorter player. So I think if he stops doing that, then that'll be good.
Speaking of players playing for free, do you think Clark played with the Papley flop or swan dive?
Yeah, so he tends to do that a bit, like as you saw. So what happened? So he got a little nudge in the back, and then he just exaggerated that.
Yeah, propelled himself forward.
Yeah. I think umpires just got to wake up to that sort of thing, and they will. They'll after this, they'll know that this player does this. So next time it happens, he might not get it free, and even if the free's there, he might still not get it. So that's one way they get punished. But he also got a fine, didn't
Yeah, and Boyd Woodcock of Port playing the second game. He played for a free on the weekend. He didn't get the free. So probably a bit about reputation as well, maybe.
he? Yeah. So Hapley got a $500 fine. Do you think that was too lenient?
Yeah, you need like, I don't know, a suspended one match ban, or when $500 is nothing. I understand COVID and stuff, but yeah, you'd want at least a couple of grand and maybe a suspended 1 week.
Yeah. Suspension, maybe. Yeah, I thought about it. Like maybe, like if you really want to stamp it out, but even if it's not a suspension, you need to do more than $500. Like make it 5,000. Make them if they want to really stamp out, because I think it is a bad look, and you might cost the team in the grand final. So, and yeah, fining them a couple of grand will do that. I think. Similar with Ward. Did you see Ward's free kick? He exaggerated again.
Yeah, I thought the free kick was there because he was first to the ball, but you could see like the play went on, and then it was only when he did the 360 where the umpire played the free. So, yeah, definitely earned him that free. Did you think that was a free?
I didn't. I thought I don't know what McKernan could have done better than that. Like they were both for the ball, and yeah, they would just. It's a contact sport, so when two players go at it, sometimes it's going to be incidental head contact. And especially because McKernan wasn't going there as fast as Ward, so sometimes Ward pretty much ran into him. So if a player like runs in head first and then hits the other player on the hip, then yeah, it's a bit hard. It's a bit unlucky for the player.
Yeah.
For McKernan to get the free kick against, but yeah, I would have just gone play on. And he got death threats, didn't he, for that?
Yeah, I think the Bombers are investigating that to see if it was one of their supporters. Which, yeah, I think Ward's done a good service for other players. He said he can handle it, but obviously other players might, struggle with that type of thing.
Yeah, I'd like to see players just to like stand their ground and like not play for free kicks more. So I think it happens a lot in marking contests as well.
Yeah.
Like having a wrestle and then like a little push in the back and they fall over. Yeah, so I don't know. Maybe it's different when you're actually playing and then you want everything to go your way. You want to win, but it'll be nice to like, stand your ground and really make the free kicks. Like soft free kicks are the worst. It's so frustrating for players, supporters, everyone.
Yeah. Sam Wicks had a memorable debut.
Yeah, so he had the wrong boots on, non-compliant boots. So yeah, it's like. Huh?
Dane Rampy as well had non-compliant boots.
I wonder how many other players, like not just Sydney players, but in the competition would have non-compliant boots. Like back in the day when you played juniors, the umpire would come into your room and you'd like lift your feet up and they'd go through all the players and they'd run their hand at studs and check. But obviously they don't do that in the AFL. But it must be like miscommunication or they just don't know. So
yeah, it's inadvertent. Clearly.
So it was an incident where he, caused a 20-centimeter gash on Quainu's foot. So this took a while to resolve. I was watching the game and they slowly put him on the cart and they wheeled him off. They're wheeling off really slowly, so there must have been a cut or something. Do you think there needs to be a punishment for Sam Wicks and Sydney?
I think it's a warning. I think it's a bad consequence because I don't think Quain is probably playing for the next couple of weeks. But I think Rampy's the one I would do something too because he's a senior player. Wicks, I'd probably let him off with a warning. Second time, then definitely punish him. But yeah, Rampy I thought was the main issue there.
Yeah, so he might have been worrying them for years. So I think a warning's good. I think if it happens again, then maybe a one-match ban or something. It seems like something they should definitely. Every player needs to be wearing the right boots. So, yeah, we might move on to a sling tackle. This seems to come up every now and then. So, did you see the one Demon Star Alex Neil Bull? Yeah, Fox Footy called him a star. Yeah. If he's a star, he wouldn't have been suspended.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I think that's the issue. Obviously, it's a bad consequence. Hammer was out for the rest of the game, but 4 weeks. I think it's acceptable. I think it should have been probably 2. Again, like you said, Bird won early in this year, got thing, but Danger didn't get injured. So I don't know. What did you think? You think 4 weeks was excessive?
Yeah, but maybe excessive. But I think they had to make a statement. It's unfortunate. It's a no name really.
Yeah.
If this was like someone like Josh Kennedy or Adam Trelaw, like a high profile player doing it, they wouldn't have got this many. So I think the criticism just, I think, saying that he was a sacrificial lamb. So no, people aren't gonna take it as seriously.
If you face,
I think the action is
no, go keep going.
But the action is something that I'd like to see, stamped out of the game. So he had his arm pinned, and then he just slung him head first into the ground. So all they got to do is just collapse them, bring them down. You don't have to sling them. So or you fall back and make them fall on top of you and roll. So I think players just need to work on their tackling technique. And it's just taking them a while to get their head around. It's not that hard.
Yeah, it's not. Clearly not the right technique. But I think with if Burgoyne and Dangerfield, if Burgoyne got a week for that, I know Dangerfield played out the game. Would that have made a statement so that things like this aren't happening anymore? That's probably my concern.
Even a week, I don't know if it's got to do with the head and concussion, and this looked bad as well. So maybe 2 to 3, I reckon. But 4 seems like a lot.
Yeah.
Quickly on Vlosten and short on Chol, literally on Chol. What did you think?
Yeah, it was a bit of a surprise there because I think it was Hugh Remington he's not really an AFL reporter. He brought it up and then Hardwick stopped the press conference short. But I mean, Brendan Gall's come out and said they've talked to the players 2 days before. But it's definitely not a great look, and it's happened I think twice now after 2 Tigers wins. So it's definitely not a good look. Yeah,
understanding club culture, this sort of thing is sort of normal. It's normalized, I suppose. I mean, they walk around naked and stuff, so you don't do that in a workplace. You can't really compare workplace to work.
Yeah, to an AFL club. But I mean, but you know that the club song is televised, right? That's common knowledge, isn't it? Yeah. So you should know that's going to get get on TV. So that's probably it's just stupid, to be honest.
Yeah, I just don't want Chol to feel bad. If he felt uncomfortable, then I think he needs to speak out and address it. Because you don't want bullying in a club. I'm sure it's not happening.
I mean, Tigers are a pretty strong club, but I think the thing with Chol was even if he was uncomfortable, would you say something? Does that mean you might not get a game anymore? It's a difficult one, but
I think you're allowed to say.
Because his statement, he came out with the statement saying he was fine with it and there's no issue. Even his dad came out and said there's no issue. But if Chol came out and said, I have a problem with this, where does that leave him?
Yeah. Especially for a young player and being Sudanese and a minority might be a bit difficult. We might quickly do previews and wrap it up because it's been well over half an hour.
Yeah.
You guys play Geelong on Friday night?
Yeah, so that's a Metricon actually. So it'd be interesting to see. I think obviously Dangerfield was managed against the Roos up forward, so I think they'll have their full complement this week. So it'll be interesting to see what they do there. And it's a big game again.
Yeah, and you guys have a 2 extra days break.
I don't think we've seen that. Maybe it's a day different. We haven't really seen them in the 20-day footy frenzy or footy festival, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, that'll be a good competitive game. You'd think Geelong trying to get into the top 4 and Port trying to consolidate a top 2 spot, which will be important. If there were to be a grand final in South Australia, which I'd like to see. I'd like to see the grand final in South Australia, probably Perth.
Yeah, that's the thing, because that probably swings it. Because if it's in Queensland, you probably back, Lions. It's in Western Australia, you probably back, the Eagles, or South Australia, you back Port. So it changes a lot of things. Who's the favourite, probably? And you guys are playing the Lions? Speaking of.
Yeah, Lions Saturday afternoon. Yeah, so again, not much hope. I think we'll get smashed because Lions, they don't have many injuries, and we have almost like half our best team out. So hopefully Charlie Cameron can have a quiet game. Maybe a youngsters to keep showing something. And I think that's what I wanted last week, and some of them did that. So, but I want to improve sort of performance and a bit more sort of direction, and a game plan would be nice.
Yeah, speaking of Cameron, he got cleared today, so I don't think he'll play against the Roos, but it's good to see that he'll be available.
Yeah, I don't think Lions don't have to go all out. I think they should be able to roll us. Can't really see us winning many games for the rest of the year, so we'll finish bottom 3, and I'm just obsessed with the draft. So I might do a couple of draft profiles.
It'd be good because they're near, and I think that an announcement got made. I think it's 29th of October, maybe the 23rd of October to the 4th of November, free agency and trade period. So,
so it'll be a week. I think it'll be trade week again, and it'll be right after the grand final. So that's good. And speaking of draft, there's also a Port Adelaide youngster called Lachlan Jones, I think, who's bolted up into first round contention. So you'd be excited. So I might talk a bit about him. Might try to get a guest on. So I'm free this week, so I might try to send a few.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right, you want to wrap it up?
Yeah, we'll catch you guys next week for the round 12 review / review.
Yeah, see you guys.
See you guys.